Hello, and welcome to our broadcast, our webinar on what is Georgia Main Street. This presentation is geared towards individuals who are looking for general insights into the Georgia Main Street program as offered by the Department of Community Affairs through our Office of Downtown Development. My name is Billy Peppers, and I am the director of that office, and I will be leading this presentation. Before we talk about Georgia Main Street, I think it's very important that we talk about why downtown is important in our communities. Downtown is traditionally the highest concentration of small businesses within an area. If you pull a business license report for your community, you'll see that downtown is home to a lot of service and retail-based businesses, as well as independent businesses that might be located within other businesses. Think, for instance, of salons. Many of the people who work in the salon have their own independent business license. And so when you collectively add up the impact of these business licenses in downtown, you see that high concentration of small businesses. Everybody's trying to meet their own payroll, their own needs from their small business standpoint. It's also a sense of place. As we travel across the state of Georgia, we see distinction as we enter our downtown areas. There are 530 cities in the state of Georgia, and each one is very unique and different. And so as we enter a downtown, it's an area within the community that shows through its architecture, its landscape, its business sector, just how distinct it is and what type of place we're going to. It's the largest public investment within a community. Think about the decades and even centuries of investment in public infrastructure in a downtown. Everything from public facilities such as courthouses, city halls, schools, into federal investments such as roadways and post offices. We think about our water and sewer customers. Some of the first lines in our community were set in downtowns. There's a lot of public investment that has been put into the central business district, and it's important that we as communities and we as a state continue to invest in that downtown area to make that investment that's been placed there over many decades pay off. It's a yardstick of community support. A lot of communities contact our office and they want to know how they can create more jobs. And one of the things that always strikes me is that people look at industry as a great way to add jobs quickly. And while industry is a great way to add jobs quickly, industries moving to Georgia particularly want to look at a downtown area to see what the community support is for itself. If they get into a community that has an unkempt downtown, that may have an area with a lot of blight or vacant buildings, it may cause concerns in them to think about their own investment. Whereas those communities that have pristine downtowns, that have put a lot of effort into historic preservation and are thriving, will generally look better in the eyes of other investors. And downtown, of course, is a place of heritage, and that's where we think about all the wonderful resources that come together from some of these unique assets that exist downtown. Downtown has these great buildings, courthouses and churches, small businesses that make an impact in the community. It's the place where people gather together for special events and activities that remind them of that great place that they live. I see a lot of downtowns across the state of Georgia where festivals are huge in the downtown area, and they're distinct festivals, and they talk about the people and the culture that live there. As we look at buildings around town, we see the names of founding fathers scrolled across the buildings, etched in the markers in historic places downtown. Downtown tells the story of our ancestors, and it tells the story of the growth of our state. The Department of Community Affairs has an approach to downtown development that considers that all cities in Georgia have an opportunity to have a downtown development strategy. What we try to do is provide a tier of services that impact all of those communities regardless of their population, their socioeconomic status, how much staffing they have to put into a program, where they are in the state, and even their own experience level. What we think is that every community can improve its central business district, and a lot of that is based on the fact that communities that gather around their assets and that they put some investment into those assets and into the areas around that downtown can thrive. And so whether we're working in a Swanee, as you see pictured here, where a lot of the investment is new, or we're working in a Macon where a lot of the investment is old, we can come up with a process that helps that community. Our Main Street program exists in every corner of the state of Georgia, and we represent cities that are as small as a few hundred in population up to those that are consolidated city-county governments like Columbus with 190,000 in population. Downtown development will work if the community and the elected officials will buy into the programming. A little bit about our office. The Office of Downtown Development is housed in the Community Development Division at the Department of Community Affairs. We have two office locations, one in Atlanta and one in Athens. Our office has 5 staff members, and I will go over that in just a minute. We are supported by 7 additional staff. 6 of those staff are regional staff that work within the state of Georgia and the various parts, including their office director, and we have a manager of our Downtown Development Revolving Loan Fund. The Atlanta office is located in DCA's headquarters, which is in Executive Park. Our address is 60 Executive Park South Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia, 30329. And the phone number for our office, which is my phone number, is 404-679-3101. Our other office is located in Athens. We have a downtown design studio there located on 675 Pulaski Street, Suite 900 in the Leathers Building of Athens, Georgia, 30601. The phone number you see there, 706-425-3079, is the main number for the office and will get you the manager of the design studio. If you would like to reach us by email, you can reach us at mainstreet@dca.ga.gov. That email is distributed to all of our staff. So whatever question you have as it relates to economic development, design, promotions, activities, organization, if you'll email it to that address, we'll make sure the appropriate person on our staff gets back in contact with you. As I said, my name is Billy Peppers, and I am the State Director for the Office of Downtown Development. I am in charge of our economic development programs related to downtown and helping communities come up with strategies for small business development. I specifically work in communities on organizational issues, helping them create a strategy for downtown revitalization. I work exclusively on the special tax districts on behalf of the agency, helping communities with things such as business improvement districts, community improvement districts, tax allocation districts. I work through local authorities. I traditionally will work with downtown development authorities, urban redevelopment authorities, or development authorities within communities to assist those groups in helping drive the downtown development process. Intergovernmental relations. I can help communities that are needing assistance in drawing up agreements between an authority in the city or a private sector group and an authority in the city. And then I also help lead our efforts in state policy as it relates to downtown development. I have been with the agency since 2012 and spent several years before that working as the Economic Development Director for the City of Woodstock, Georgia, and its Downtown Development Program. I hold a certification in Economic Development Finance. Jessica Reynolds is our Manager for Communications and Training. She is in charge of promoting and marketing the Georgia Downtown office and the Georgia Main Street program. She specifically works in board development and helping boards of directors across our state understand better about their roles as it relates to downtown development strategies and how they can interact with staff in a more positive way to create better opportunities for the community. She leads our office in social media and technology. So if you go to our Facebook page, which you can find as Georgia Main Street, GA Main Street, she leads that effort. She also controls our closed group manager pages for our Main Street managers, where they can communicate and network with each other online and ask questions, and handles our weekly emails as well. She can help your communities as it relates to building special events and developing sponsorship of those activities. And then she also manages program compliance for our office Each of our programs are required to hold certain documents and to do certain functions each year to stay in compliance with the Department of Community Affairs and also with the National Main Street Center. And Jessica is your contact for all of those issues. Carmine Fischetti is the manager of our design studio over in Athens. Carmine has an extensive history here with the agency and a lot of history in many of our communities. You can contact him and see if your community has taken advantage of our design studio services before, and I'm sure he'll be happy to find those images and information for you. Carmine graduated from the University of Georgia and has a degree in landscape architecture and manages the office over there, which includes a couple of additional staff positions that I'll go over in a second, and also a contract that we hold with the College of Environmental Design at the University of Georgia, where we partner with them to provide opportunities for graduate students in their programming to work on projects within our downtown communities. Julian DeRoche, who is one of our planners, professional landscape architects, is the community design specialist for our office, and he works in Athens alongside Carmine. He is also a graduate of the University of Georgia. Julian does a significant amount of work specific to infill development projects and has some great design skills, and I'm sure would be happy to help you with any project that you need assistance on as well. Evan Tebow, who is a member of our downtown team, is provided through a contract that the Department of Community Affairs has with the Georgia Trust. Evan is an employee of the Trust, and so you'll see his email address is just a little bit different than the rest of ours. Evan works specifically on downtown design assistance, but can be a great help with historic preservation projects and research as well, and is also located in our Athens office. So some things that the Office of Downtown Development can provide to communities: again, organization building, staff and board training, helping with community assessments, monthly reporting services, design assistance in the areas of preservation, infill development, corridor, space planning, marketing strategies, program networking, financial structuring. We have a best practices library. We can provide branding assistance, work plan development, partnership development, and of course we just like to hold hands for our communities and help them through any issues that they may be facing downtown. So what exactly is the Main Street program? Back in the 1970s, the National Trust for Historic Preservation realized that many of its downtowns across the country were struggling with the creation of these new regional shopping malls. And of course the introduction of air conditioning did not help the efforts downtown, as bigger buildings were being built along new and spacious roadways. Downtowns were really struggling. These malls were built on a concept of really focusing in on the individual shopper, the consumer, and being more experiential. So the National Trust for Historic Preservation sent some researchers to look at communities in the Midwest and find out what was going on. And basically those researchers went into downtowns and asked questions of property owners and retailers and the community in general. And then they went to the malls and they did some research there as well. And what they came back with was an idea that if communities could focus on 4 major points, which include design, organization, promotion, and economic restructuring, that they would understand better the mall model and why it was being effective. In the mall, they used their number of businesses to help them with a general branding and promotion. So come to the mall versus coming to a particular business was often what was phrased in their advertising. They wanted people to spend a lot more time than they would in a traditional store. And as you see in the picture on the bottom left, they had parking around the mall, and ample parking. Park once, walk around, do your shopping, spend the day. Not only can you walk through the mall and buy goods and see a little bit of everything, but you can use it as an opportunity to eat, They had dining establishments within the malls. A lot of malls had some type of entertainment venue, whether it be a theater, an arcade, some type of entertainment venue for the family to take advantage of, music or entertainment and things like that as well. And so the mall was a place where if we could just get people to come for a period of time, they'll spend their money. Downtown, on the other hand, had become something else. It had become a place where individuals wanted to shop specifically at one store, be there, and be gone. The history of the Georgia Main Street program. Our program was one of the first coordinating programs in the country. We started in 1980, so we are celebrating our 35th year this year. We have currently 96 programs in the Georgia Main Street network. Since 1980, the Georgia Main Street network has had a $3 billion impact on the state of Georgia, including private and public investment. There's been a creation of 59,000 net new jobs in those small businesses, and 3,300 of that was in 2013 alone. Last year, there were 370 buildings that were rehabbed in Georgia Main Street communities, or a little more than one building per day. And 4.6 million people attended events in downtowns last year, making downtown one of the places that attracts tourists and community goers alike, and really bringing people back to the heart of the community. Here's a map of our Georgia Main Street network, and you'll notice the blue dots are our traditional or what we call classic Main Street communities. Those green triangles represent communities that are trying to get into the Main Street network that are in our startup program, and then the pink pentagons represent our GEMS communities, or Georgia's Exceptional Main Streets. We currently have 5 of those. As you see, our programs are spread out throughout the state, and so we try to work with communities that are ready for a downtown development strategy and specialize those communities in using our Main Street program. We currently have 87 nationally accredited Main Street communities in Georgia, 19 communities that are in the startup program, and 5 communities that have been awarded GEMS status. Those 5 communities in the GEMS program include Bainbridge, Greensboro, Rome, Toccoa, and Valdosta. We do offer several levels of service. The Our Town program, which is one of our basic level service programs, is for communities that want to begin discussions about downtown development. There is an application process. The Our Town program provides opportunity for those communities to take advantage of technical assistance, but also to take advantage of our training to talk about downtown development strategies and how we can best help that community move forward. For those communities that are ready to start the Main Street process, we require a startup program. That's a 2-year process where we work with a community in the first year to move them through all the standards so that they can be nationally accredited. And then in the second year, we work with them to make sure they continue to meet national standards. The next application for startup communities will be in the summer of 2015. Classic Main Street communities are our signature program. This is the bulk of the Main Street programs across the state of Georgia, and they represent communities various sizes and various backgrounds. Some of those classic Main Street communities have been in existence for over 30 years, and some have been in existence for less than 5. Our GEMS program, Georgia's Exceptional Main Streets, is a program that's competition-based and is offered to communities that have been in the Main Street network here in Georgia for a period of years with an experienced manager. The GEMS program launched last fall, and right now it's a 3-year agreement with those communities to partner with them on specific technical assistance to help move them into the next level. And for those communities that don't feel like the Main Street program is the right fit for them, we offer a downtown affiliate network where we provide technical assistance and training to communities that are on different levels than maybe our Town program, but we allow them to take advantage of our services as well. So I mentioned earlier this idea of the four-point approach. The points that we discuss are organization, design, promotion, and economic restructuring. Organization basically means how do we work together in downtown? Who are the players? Who are the partners? How do we network with each other? How do we understand our roles with making downtown a better place? How do we understand how we work together to accomplish what our goals are? And what are our goals? How do we function? How do we bring people to the table? What resources do we offer to our partners? Design has to do with the aesthetics of the community. How does it look? How does it feel? When you drive into town, is there signage that lets you know that you're in a downtown area? Is there wayfinding signage downtown to help you get around? Where's the parking located? Are there street trees and street furniture? What do the facades of buildings look like? Are the right elements in the right places? How does buildings function downtown from a design perspective? Promotion is related to how we get the message out to individuals about our Main Street program. And that is traditionally done through special events and activities, through branding, through marketing, through newsletters. And when we think about promotion, we think about how we get the word out about downtown. Economic restructuring is about looking at the downtown area and figuring out what we have in place and what we're missing. Finding those gaps in the local commercial market and where we have an opportunity to add a business. Finding out what buildings are available and how they can be repurposed for a new use based on what trends and market data say can be supported in the community. And also assisting existing businesses understanding that retail trends change. Do they have the right product? Are they offering the right services that the community and that the public would like to see? Main Street follows 8 guiding principles. Number 1, a sustainable downtown requires a comprehensive approach. We have to look at all facets of the downtown area to be able to create one that will be sustainable over a period of time. Number 2, the best revitalization strategy occurs incrementally. Progress should happen over time. It doesn't happen overnight. Remember, downtown Rome was not built in a day. Number 3, redevelopment is a self-help project. The resources that used to be available at the federal and state level are not necessarily there now. And so we need communities to understand that a lot of the work has to be done in-house. It has to be initiated by the community. We do have opportunities to partner with communities on some loans and even some grants in some occasions to help with some financing of projects, but a lot of the work, a lot of the sweat equity, and even a good bit of the capital has to be done locally. Number 4, partnerships create the momentum for success. Whether it's a partnership between a merchants association in the city or the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Development Authority, it's important to make sure that everybody who has a role in downtown is at the table and has an opportunity to make downtown successful. Number 5, unique assets are the cornerstones for a great district. Look for those great buildings. Look for those assets that you have that maybe other communities don't have, such as a river, a lake, a major thoroughfare, some type of scenery, some type of history, some type of building. Number 6, build quality and not quantity. For downtowns to be successful over a period of time, we need to make sure that the work we do is done in a quality manner, not just in a manner to be done quickly. And it's important, specifically in downtowns when we talk about historic preservation, that we go the extra mile on our projects to make sure that they're done well and tastefully, as opposed to just being done to make a change happen. Number 7, change is the underlying engine to make things sustainable. Downtowns are constantly evolving. These are organisms. I like to tell people that they're living and breathing. Businesses change. Businesses open, they die. People change. Owners change. Property ownership changes. The economy changes. The rules and regulations from the local, state, and federal level change. So downtown is in a constant state of change, and that's okay. And number 8, plans don't work. They have to be implemented. We require each of our communities to develop a plan that they work on every year for their downtown. Those plans have to be put to action. It's not enough to write words on paper, but we have to put the feet to those words and the mouth to those words to make sure that everybody understands and that we're working towards our goals. A quick lesson on logistics. The National Main Street Program, which is housed in the National Main Street Center, owns the name of Main Street. It creates the standards by which the state and local communities are assessed. It accredits local programs on an annual basis. Its job is to promote the brand of Main Street, and it coordinates national efforts. It also monitors and assesses the coordinating programs, such as our Office of Downtown Development, as we are the coordinating program for the state of Georgia. Georgia Main Street coordinates the statewide program. We have a contract with the National Main Street Center to license the name Main Street to communities that we designate. We do designate the local programs, so that's why we use our startup process to help us designate those communities. We assess local programs based on the standards and our interpretations of the standards that are provided at the national level. And then we recommend to the national program which communities should be accredited on an annual basis based on the assessment of those national standards. There are 10 national standards that Main Street programs must follow. 1, the program has to have broad-based community support for commercial district revitalization process and have active participation from both the public and private sectors. Generally, what we want to see is a list of who the partners are for the downtown organization and how those partners participate in the downtown revitalization strategy. Number 2, has developed vision and mission statements relevant to community conditions and to the local Main Street program's organizational stage. We like for communities to have mission statements that incorporate the 4-point approach. We also like for our communities to have a vision of where they would like to be over a period of time, and making sure that both that vision and mission are realistic based on what's going on in their particular community. Number 3, has an annual comprehensive Main Street work plan based upon the 4-point approach. Each community in the state of Georgia is required to submit to the Office of Downtown Development a copy of their annual work plan. That work plan should be broken down into at least the 4-point approach areas and additional committees. The work plan should include goals, specific tasks related to those goals, funds and other resources that are related to each of the tasks, and a point person and timeline to getting the task accomplished. Number 4, possesses a historic preservation ethic. Main Street is economic development in the guise of historic preservation. We're preserving our communities by bringing business to town. Number 5, has an active board of directors, committees, and volunteers utilizing the 4-point approach. Generally here we want to see your organizational structure. We want to understand who your board members are and what their backgrounds are, what types of committees you have in place to execute the work of the organization, and how you utilize volunteers to help progress the work of downtown development. Number 6, has an operating budget with income from a variety of sources. Downtown development takes money, and that money comes from the local level. The state of Georgia does not provide funding to our Georgia Main Street network. What we do is provide technical assistance. What we like to see is that communities have put the money into downtown development, and this can be in the form of general fund money from the city government, donations, event sponsorships, memberships, grants, and other funding sources available to the local programs. Has a paid professional manager. Each Main Street community must have one person on staff that is managing the Main Street program. 8, participates in or provides ongoing training for staff, board, government officials, and volunteers. We currently require our Main Street programs to go through at least 30 hours of training on an annual basis. The Department of Community Affairs offers a number of training opportunities as well as many of our partners throughout the year, including our monthly webinar series. Reports key statistics in a timely manner and is in good standing with critical state mandates. We do require that our communities provide monthly reports to our agency to let us know what's going on downtown. These reports all collectively part of the annual assessment process, so it's imperative that Georgia Main Street communities participate in these reports on a monthly basis. And number 10, the local program has to be a current member of the National Main Street Center to be eligible for accreditation by that organization. If you have additional questions or need additional information about the Georgia Main Street program, please feel free to contact the Office of Downtown Development at mainstreet@dca.ga.gov, and we'll be happy to reach out to your community and help you in understanding more about the Main Street program. Thank you for your time and your attention. Have a great day.